Aya, it's 10. It's 10, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. So, as I was saying, we need to think about our public image. People will always make judgments about you. I remember when we were in secondary school studying literature, I was taught that this thing we were discussing about the character traits. And we learned that people can know about you through what you say, through what you do, and through what they hear people say about you. And most times they will believe more what people say about you than what you say about yourself. And the question is, if people were to talk about you, what will they say about you? Is it something positive? Is it something that will make some people want to be with you, or it's something that doesn't bring people? Remember, leadership is about attracting people. Yesterday I was discussing leadership in a different forum via Zoom, and I was saying there is a reason Jesus picked fishermen and not hunters. Why? Leadership is like fishing. It's not hunting. And he told Peter, don't worry, this time round you've qualified, you've done well in fishing, the real fish. Now you will upgrade to fishing men. So, in this case, leadership is not like hunting, chasing people with guns or with rungus or with spears. It is drawing people to you. It is attracting people. It is influencing people towards a particular direction. And for you to do that, it will directly depend on your branding. Somebody hasn't muted. There is some mic on. That is, yeah. You can kindly mute. So, leadership has to do with influence, and in this case I love saying positive influence. You influence people positively towards a positive direction. And that's why in that slide Mahatma Gandhi talks about positive. Keep your behavior positive, keep your habits positive, keep your words positive, and something like that. So we must be moving people towards a positive life, towards better life. You see, for you to be there, it should be that after you, or at least that time, students or the people you lead are much better than before you were there. A leader's work is to improve lives, to improve the experience of the people they lead. So your first step to leadership, after knowing yourself, is being cognizant of the brand that you portray. And it starts where Prof said, how we dress. We don't have to be in suits. We don't have to be in ties. We don't have to be, but get to know the occasion. What are you dressing for? Is it a dinner? Dress for dinner. Yeah. Is it rugby? Dress for rugby. Otherwise, always stay decent. It's always good to stay decent. I love telling people that if you are dressed in such a way that if you are walking in town and somebody got lost, they would be free to approach you and ask direction from you. But if they look at you and get scared, then you know you cannot lead, because a leader attracts. A leader doesn't repel people. If you are such a person that people cannot come and confide in you and share with you their problems, seeking for solution, you are not a leader. You want to be somebody whom people can come to for counsel. People look at you as a role model, and so they want to be with you. So take care of how you dress. And we love saying in Study for Success that dress where you're going, not where you are or where you're coming from. Dress where you are going, whatever that means to you. After college, where will you be going? You're going to the outside world. dress where you're going. It shows forward movement. I remember a friend of mine during our time was called Jacob Onchiri. Jacob Onchiri was blessed with big body, unlike me. And because we all relied on help, we would go to Anniversary Towers. I think it was 18th floor. It must still be there, 18th floor. We would go there and ask for the status of our loans and maybe query if it's not yet arrived in the bank and things like that. But Onchiri had a tendency of dressing really well. He was a smart guy. Even in his room, he would spread the chairs with the good, beautiful clothes, vitamba, and it was just extreme. As for me, I wasn't that level. But now we went there. People would go as the college was opening. We are at Anniversary Towers. Onchiri dressed so well. He had a tie, and because he was blessed with a belly also, and he had a coat, he was not blocked. But all of us were blocked at the door to wait, and we had to queue. But when he came, those askaris just saluted him and told him, "Welcome, welcome, sir." Why? Because he was dressed well. He was not dressed like us students. He was dressed where he's going, only to get inside and start discussing loan, and then those people feel like, kumbe hata we ni student. You see? So dress will open for you the gate that would otherwise be closed. I remember when I was in Form 4, the president then, Moi, was coming along, and our head teacher used to be very smartly dressed. So people would queue along the road waiting for the president to pass by. It was a matter of protocol. All pupils would get out of school, you queuing along the road, and people are waiting for president, and people are singing. We were not singing, but we had to stay there. But when the president came in, people were pushing each other, moving towards the front. Now, those security guys for the president pushed people back, but they left our principal because he was smartly dressed. He looked like he's just one of those top dignitaries, as the rest of the guys were being pushed out, pushed away. I've seen this many times. Just remember, the way you dress, people will judge you, and that may not necessarily be whom you are. Just dress smartly any other time, dress decently. When you're going for a dinner, dress for dinner. But avoid extremes. Just stay conservative. It always earns you some maturity. It makes people believe that you are somebody who can be depended upon. So, in your branding, think about that. It's a very critical thing. There is something I talk about, competence. You cannot lead, you cannot influence people to rank you highly if you are incompetent in your academics, in things you do. And that's why you need to choose your battles well. You need to know yourself and be able to choose your battles well. You don't underperform and still expect people to respect you. And when people don't respect you, guess what? They will not follow you. They will not admire you. They will not want to be in your position. This person, you know him. You guys, more so, people who watch football. This is Ronaldinho. And his name is popular because he's competent in his field. In fact, perhaps if he went to vie for a particular seat in their region, he would probably get it. Yeah, because he's already competent in a particular field and people have already bought his brand. People want to buy your brand. People want to be sure that if they buy you, you will take them to the right direction. You will take them where they want to be. So, always Remember that you are excelling in your academics. Most students who become student leaders drop in their academics. That's not good. That makes you lose integrity, lose value, and if we would say, drop in your bonga points, your ranking, and things like that. Think about competence. And even in your leadership, be somebody who delivers. Competence is a big thing. It's the first C. The other one is chemistry. If you can't work with people, you probably will not get much support. Your brand will not be bought. Chemistry, yeah, those in chemistry department know better. This bonding thing, yeah, the ionic bond, whatever the bonds. Being able to mix well with people and form a solid team and support each other and being likable. There is something we call pleasing personality. You have a pleasing personality. You're not a personality that scares, but you are some warm person whom everyone wants to relate with. Now here is a trick. You can always try it. It will work for you all throughout your life. Always smile. Don't mean business all the time. Always wear a smile. You are more beautiful and more handsome when you're smiling than when you're frowning. When you want to be uglier, start frowning. And nobody wants to approach you. Like I said, if you are standing on some street corner and somebody was looking for direction, do you think they would come to you? A leader is warm. A leader smiles even in the midst of crisis. Yes, that is what gives people an assurance that things are still under control. So, be somebody who can work with other people, be somebody who values relationship and who relates with others well. It starts with those values that we were talking about. If you've already known that this person, their background made him or made her to be this particular type of person, he values this and I value this. Respect people's opinion, respect their values. That's why 3 things I don't discuss with people, and I don't intend to influence them to think the way I think, because they are emotional, they are emotive. One is religion. Maybe somebody is a Muslim, somebody is a Christian, or that is much better, somebody is a Catholic and another one is SDA. These are 2 dissimilar poles. But the moment you start telling somebody that you are wrong and I am right, and the other person you're wrong and I'm right, who said so? We are all visitors in this. We are all guests. So just respect people's opinions. That will make you relate with them better and getting to know their values. Another one is politics. Somebody is kieleweke, somebody is tangatanga. It doesn't matter. Don't discuss politics, it will separate you. It is emotive. Just discuss things that bring you together. When it comes to politics, you can do it for fun and respect people's opinions. Don't tell them that you are wrong. And in building relationships, you do not want to discuss thorny issues in a way that pricks people. If you're debating, you debate in a mature manner, intellectually, but not to pin people down. Remember, if you win an argument, you will not really win. You've lost the friend. Yes? So don't be argumentative and all that. It doesn't add much value. Just be, if you have to sway people to think in a particular way, there is a way of doing it, not through arguments. Then the other one is about money, which we will discuss tomorrow. Money is very emotive. The moment you start discussing money, budget, whatever, all those details, some people get really emotive, and that's why many people can kill for money. Yeah, that they send somebody with, maybe somebody sends a child with 100, and it gets lost. Somebody can be really mad about that. Why? Money is emotive. 3 things: religion, politics, money. Very emotive. You can always find a middle ground. Talk about the things you enjoy together. Talk about the things you share. Don't talk about the things where you differ. It doesn't add much value. And respect people's opinions. The other thing is communication.
Across this
You
nation.
people can hear.
And so we are in a state of emergency. Black people are dying in a state of emergency.
Say that, sir.
You see, what that lady is doing is communicating. Most times when people communicate like that, when they are campaigning, we pick them. Communication and courage. Having courage. I'm bringing it here because I cannot pose it. I cannot pose it. But what we are trying to say is we need to be people who can communicate clearly. In recent times, I've been conducting some trainings to some other students of various universities, and I realized that communication level is really going down. I don't know why. Very few people can communicate coherently in good language, even in writing and things like that. What will make you be somebody who is outstanding and influential is ability to communicate. You see, ability to have that courage to stand before people. Public speaking is quite an important thing. Some people are always mistaken for leaders just because they are able to communicate. The other one is character, and it's not the least, but it's perhaps the most important thing. We want to work with people whom we trust. We want to work with people whom we can depend on. People who are also available for us. People who are disciplined. If your character is flawed, there is nowhere you're going to succeed, whether it's in business, whether it's in politics, whether it's in what. You just won't succeed even in employment. You will have problem after problem after problem. You must put your character straight, and it starts with discipline. I don't know what you people understand by the word discipline, but one of my long-time teachers used to say discipline is good manners. That's part of it, but I love saying that discipline is doing what ought to be done, when it ought to be done, in the way that it should be done, whether you feel like doing it or not. If it is about exercise, just do exercise. I love telling students this. Most of you right now in college, you don't have a lot of money. Like I used to have, by the way. I used to have a lot of money. You don't have a lot of money. And so you don't eat the way you want to eat. Yes? A friend of mine, Larry, used to say, you start by eating chicken when you get loan, and then chicken products, and then you eat things that also chicken eat. But that is life. That is a stage in life. The question is, when you leave, how will you eat? Your health is part of your character. It's a discipline. And if you just eat anyhow, the wrong things, it feeds into your mind, it feeds into your self-esteem, it feeds into the person you become. And that's why 2 years down the line, when you leave college and maybe you start getting some income, you start eating chips every day, you grow big like a balloon. And when we meet you, we can't identify you, or we think you have some swellings. You see, you grow older and you leave some other people who are much older than you to stay younger. That is part of discipline. Do you eat because of appetite, or do you eat because I used to like asking, do we live to eat, or we eat to live? And I loved the answer that we eat to live. So as long as we can continue living, that's fine. We must eat the right things. Diet is an important thing. It will determine your health status. It will determine whether you are going to have lifestyle conditions and treating big problems, or you're going to be healthy. And you cannot be a leader if you are unhealthy. You cannot be a leader, a good influence, if you are not in good shape. Always try to be somebody who is disciplined enough to follow your what you tell yourself you're going to follow. That is it. Doing the right thing when and where it's got to be done, whether you feel like doing it or not. But here is the good news. Over time, it becomes your habit. It becomes something you are feeling like doing it, and you always want to do it. You can't wait to do it. Just like exercise. People who are exercising every day, before they exercise, they don't feel good enough. Remember, you need to exercise at least 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. At least 3 times a week. So, that is one area of discipline. Discipline when it comes to studies. Yes? Are you disciplined enough in your area of study? Discipline when it comes to, let me go back to an example with food. At one point, I chose that I'm going to take no sugar in my tea. It's not because I was advised by any doctor. It's just that I learned that sugar was not adding any value to me. And I stopped it. And that's just it. Over time, it became just sweet. I chose not to be a lover of cakes and chips and all the junks. And that has always been me. And that has kept me pretty in a good health and good shape. A leader wants to be in optimal health. I love the word optimal. You are always in great health. And that is the only way you will be able to help other people, to encourage other people. You will be able to build a brand that people want to follow. I love making these comparisons. If you look at Obama, he's always in good shape. It doesn't mean he doesn't have a lot of money, so doesn't eat meat every day and things like that. Yeah? You look at all these presidents abroad, they are always in somewhat good shape. But our African leaders tend to bulge as they grow. Shape is a good thing, and it shapes, it means you are disciplined enough, and it means you are somebody who can be relied upon. So there is one thing that I started talking to people about in beginning to build a brand and leadership. You always need to think about this one word, or let's say 2 words, interest. What is somebody's interest? What is somebody's interest, and what is your interest in this that you're doing? The moment as a leader, you don't need to focus on your interest, but you need to focus on other people's interest in order to keep them in your relationship. Nobody wants to hear much about you, but about themselves. And then trust. Don't lose people's trust. For example, if they tell you something about them which is confidential, and then they hear it elsewhere, you will lose that integrity. They will never come to you again, and they will speak more about it, that you are such and such a person. So, be somebody who is integral. You are whole. You can be depended upon. You are disciplined. You can keep secret. You are trustworthy, and you respect people. That is very, very important. I'd like us to shift gears and move to the next section. I don't know if anyone has a comment again. This is going to be our last bit for today. Anyone has a comment or a question before I proceed?
I have a question. In terms of brand,
yes.
How do you go? What can you say about walking style?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. And your name is?
My name is Humphrey, and I.
Yes, Humphrey. Let me tell you what you asked.
Also have a question. For example, if you're a leader, I'm called
yes.
Simon. For example, if you're a leader,
yes.
and your name has been dented, how do you come back on board?
You said your name is Javan.
Yeah, Javan.
Okay. Yeah, good. Thank you. Let me respond to those two, then somebody else can ask. Now, Humphrey, And all of you, let me tell you, walking style is a big deal. And handshake. Yeah, nowadays when you talk of handshake, people think of Uhuru and Raila Odinga. No, the way you shake people's hands. So that is a complete cause of its own on pleasing personality and influence and things like that. That's why I was talking about. We are just rushing. Now, when you're walking, don't walk like a loser. If you are walking in town, you walk like you are looking for something. You're just looking up, reading every billboard, whatever. Nobody wants to follow somebody like that. And again, it reflects into your mental attitude, into your mind. It will show people whether you really know what you're doing, you know where you're going, or you don't know. When you're walking, walk fast, a fast paced. You're not necessarily running, but walking, pop, 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 pop. You know where you're going. You're walking when you're focused. But this walking like you're lazing about, like you're strolling in the park, like people do it in Mombasa. You know, it's a lazy life, and it reflects into a lazy mind. And a lazy mind doesn't think. Leaders walk straight and walk focused, knowing where they are going. Don't walk like you're a loser. Don't, for example, some people might be, I remember people carrying bags from the library in the evening, maybe from self-study, and they are carrying big bags and walking like they're beaten up. You see, you can't brand yourself like that, like a loser. Walk like somebody who knows where they're going. And when you're speaking, speak straight. Speak looking at the people. Eye contact. In public speaking, we talk about that. Eye contact. Talk like you know what you're talking about. And handshake. When you're shaking people's hands, don't let your hand slip down weakly, loosely, like you're not a serious person. Hold people's hands firmly, not squeezing to injure them or to measure strength, but handshake should be firm. And you don't exaggerate it. You're for holding hands and shaking or whatever. No. Just once, and you shake once. It's a second thing, and then you leave. So those are some of the things that can always be demonstrated when we happen to meet. But take them seriously. They mean a lot about your brand. When you meet successful people, you will always know them. The way they walk, the way they look at you, the way they do handshake. Those are critical things in leadership, critical things in branding. You have a dented image. People always have a second chance. You know, it takes a long time to build a brand, but you can lose it in a moment. So the first thing is you don't want to lose it. You don't want to be found in something compromising, and that's why we are talking about discipline. That's why we are talking about character. But everyone does mistake. David in the Bible committed a big mistake. Yeah, you see, when he was lazing about, he had an idle mind, a lazy mind. He stopped fighting. He had grown really big and respected, and so he could just send people to the battlefield. And he stays back, lazing about, and that's why you always need to keep your mind occupied. So, walking on his balcony, he looks down and sees this woman showering. And one thing leads to another. Why? Because he is idle. And he ends up picking this woman, even killing the husband, and all sorts of things. You know that story. He dented his image. It was a big deal. But what did he do? He repented, both privately and publicly. He didn't eat food for 3 days. He kept praying and crying and mourning and things like that. So one of the things you can do is just apologize publicly. Now, most leaders don't like apologizing and accepting that they did a mistake. it makes you even much stronger when you apologize and people see that you're really serious and you apologized. And then you just know that it's going to take some time to mend fences, but always, if it is something that you can mend. For example, Zacchaeus was told, Zacchaeus chose for himself, if I picked anybody's, if I stole from anyone, I will repay it 4 times. If it is something that can be taken back, please just mend it. Just try to correct the situation. If it's gone like a spilt milk. All you need to do is apologize and stay with your head up and start committing to do even more. People are going to trust you anyway along the way. And they will remember that when you committed a mistake, you apologized. We see this a lot. Our politicians don't apologize. They promise us things they don't accomplish, and they end up coming again with other lies. Please, a leader doesn't lie. Why? 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth, says Gautama Buddha. 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. So you will only hide the truth for so long. Ultimately, it will come out and you will be ashamed. So just speak the truth. Don't try to lie. Be honest enough. Build a strong character, a dependable character. It will serve you well. So you have a dented image, come out of it, repent, do your apologies. If you're a Catholic like me, you'd go and confess and get relieved as well. But public apology is always good enough. Thank you very much, Javan and Humphrey. Anybody with another?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, my name is Njeru. Thank you so much. PP. I also heard you also a Rotarian. You know what PP means in Rotary?
Yes. Oh, I'm a Rotarian, by the way.
Yeah. PP,
past president.
PP. Yeah, past president. I want to say something.
Yes.
In terms of self-branding, I also think the way somebody evaluates, the way you say things also matters a lot.
Yeah.
Not just what you say, but the way you say
Yes.
it. In 2 scenarios, if at all 2 people are being interviewed, one has been asked a question and is totally not aware of what to say, or is not aware of the question, but the way he articulates the point, it could leave the person interviewing him so much in a better sense, as much as one who is just saying it and so much aware of the way he's saying it, but the way he is saying it contradicts. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, as leaders, whatever you say, the way you say it matters a lot, not just what you're saying.
Yes, Njeru. Let me tell you, in communication, which is something we touched, I did not want to keep this slide long. Let me share it again. This one.
This is a coordinated activity happening.
I love the way
this
lady speaks.
And so we are in a state of emergency. Black people are dying in a state of emergency. Say that, sir. We cannot look at this as an isolated incident. The reason why buildings are burning are not just for our brother George Floyd. They're burning down because people here in Minnesota are saying to people in New York, to people in California, to people in Memphis, to people all across this nation, enough is enough.
Now, I love telling people this in communication. Know what to say, know how to say it well. Knowing what to say is one thing. Knowing how to say it is another. And now actually saying it is yet another thing. Communication is a big tool in life. And as a leader, part of your branding and one of the biggest and most important is how you communicate things. The same thing can be communicated by two different people. One will be bought, one will be left. Now, when I talk about buying, I love looking at leadership as selling. Many people don't like looking at it like that. But leadership is sales. You're always selling ideas. You're always selling an opinion. You're always selling a particular belief. And somebody will say the same thing and nobody buys it. But another one will say it and people buy it. So we must be careful about that. We must learn. There is a whole course about communication. But thank you very much, Njeru. That was very beautiful contribution.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope we can move on. Anybody being left out? No. There is in my book, The Making of a Symphony Orchestra, which Professor was talking about, I look at leadership as a symphony orchestra. It's called The Making of a Symphony Orchestra, Timeless Leadership. You can Google it. You'll always get it online. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Kindle. Kindle means just about 300 shillings in terms of dollars. Yani about $3. And you will be able to get it on your phone. And you can read it. I have the other book, which is For Live Your Dream. Now, this book, The Making of a Symphony Orchestra, Timeless Leadership, I always look at leadership as an orchestra. In an orchestra, we have different people playing different instruments, including the vocal instrument, that is the people singing. We have the people playing the drum. We have the people blowing the flutes. We have the people doing the violin, the guitar, all sorts of things, oboes, everything. But all geared towards one piece of music, and all work in synchrony, in harmony, and by the end of the day, when we listen to that piece of music, it's great. And there is always a director in front of them. You, as the leader, is the director. You bring out music out of these different elements together and produce a fantastic piece. Nature sings in harmony. When I was studying physics, there is something we talked about called entropy. Some of you who are doing physics know about that. The chaos. And one thing I learned is nature is not chaotic. God did not create chaos. Nature sings in harmony. Everything somewhat moves in order. Is a God of order. The creator is a creation of order. That's why the planetary motion is always there, but the planets don't collide. Yeah? Things just don't happen haphazardly. Things happen just. They are timed. They are precisely arranged. That's the way life is. And leadership is about bringing order, bringing this harmony, bringing this arrangement together. And so if you are going to be the type of leader that I love talking about, transformational, you're transforming things, then you must learn this harmony, putting the whole orchestra together to bring in the music therein. You can't work alone. One is too small a number to achieve greatness. And so, in your leadership, you must choose whether you want to be a transformational, timeless leader who will be remembered, or you're just going to be another leader who filled in that blank space. That is what we are talking about. And so I'll talk about three things very essential and quite important in leadership. And one is an agenda. What is your agenda? What is your agenda? What do you want to achieve in your leadership? It's not about politics. Oh, what you tell people, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. By the way, I love saying that there are political leaders and politicians. politicians are just any other person who politic. But political leaders sway opinions and people follow them. Wherever they choose to go, if they say, hii katiba ni mbaya, everybody else says, by the way, amesema ni mbaya, kwa hivyo ni mbaya. So there are political leaders and there are politicians. That is in politics field. Now, every one of us as leaders in our leadership positions, we must choose what we want to achieve. And we must have conviction and commitment about the same. Let me give you a good example. When I was made chairman in Chiromo for the Catholic community, it was a mild community. I never used to hear about them. We knew Chiromites are very quiet people who are very busy, always studying in the library. I told you I was not the type. I loved science, loved physics. I was passing, but God gave me that capacity to be able to read just enough to understand. I understood myself. Now, when I joined this community, my first assignment that I gave myself was to ensure that this community becomes vibrant once and for all. And by the time we were leaving, this community could, in the whole University of Nairobi chaplaincy under St. Paul's, there is no activity that would be done where Chiromo was not. And people always demanded, Chiromo must be there. We must get Chiromo there, because we became a force to reckon with. And it's something that continued thereafter, even beyond us. And that is something we need to think about, the legacy. It's part of your agenda. Your agenda becomes your legacy. So in your position, what is it that's going to be your pet subject that people can use to remember you? They don't have to be many. It can just be 1, 2, or 3 things. And you must take it seriously. I love saying that before you get into that position, you should have known, this is the gap that I am going to fill. This is the gap that I want to fill. Now, in St. Paul's, I was the chairman again at the same time. Yeah, I said that. Now, this was students' choir. During that time, we had been singing, but we kept thinking about how to record our songs. And ultimately, we were able to do the first recording. That was my time. And that first volume made roads for others and others. And St. Paul's Students' Choir became one of the most popular. And it's still one of the most popular. All these other university students, the choirs for the church, just followed in and picked up. We want to be like St. Paul's Chapel, because of a seed that we planted. Right now, Prof talked about a building where I was mobilizing and fighting for some malice about demolition. We own a building called SIFA. SIFA is a big building with with 288 units. This building, there was some political malice, and some other people, I think, wanted to be bribed, but seemingly the person, the builder, the developer, the Chinese who built it, did not intend to give them something, and so they wanted to blackmail him, and so said that your building is encroaching into the riparian land. It wasn't true, it's never been true, and that is the fact. But you know, politics can be really dangerous sometimes. It is what the interest is at a particular time. That thing came in, and it found me as the chairman. I became a chairman not to solve that problem. I was a chairman previously, and my intention was, I just had 3 items to accomplish. I wanted to achieve a proper painting for our building, a lasting one. It had been painted a few times, and the paints were coming out before even the contractor could take 3 months. I wanted to install a water treatment plant. So, because we have a borehole, we are among the few buildings in Nairobi where we don't run out of water, except if maybe our pump has a problem. But water dug from Nairobi usually has some impurities, some chemicals, some fluoride, and among other things. So I wanted to achieve this water treatment, to set up a water treatment plant. Another thing is I wanted to install CCTV. Those were my problems. There were several other things that I could do, but those were my agenda, and I did them. By the time this thing was coming in, I was doing the last, which was putting in CCTV, then I retire. But then that thing came in and we had to deal with it, and so it became part of my agenda. Always have an agenda. Everywhere. Right now I'm also a chairman. Apparently I'm always a chairman in a particular group or the other. Right now I'm the chairman, we call them moderators at St. Paul's. I'm the chairman for the Family Life group. Now this is a group that is one of the oldest according to history or that I've gathered. But it's been mild, and largely because of leadership. So it's not really living up to its reputation. I was called and told that, you see, I was first given a call and told that we are going to hold a meeting as Family Life group, and we are going to come up with officials. So we may give you some position. I said, well, if you feel there is where I'll be able to help, there is no problem. I did not know about when that thing happened and how it happened, but I was called and told that I am the chairman. And that was quite heavy because I had not gone to that, I had not been part of it, except that I had attended a few events with them, but they made me one. And my task has been, that was from late last year and this year, to make it grow just the way I did with Chiromo community. And it's already on the uprise. It's my main role is to make it one of the biggest, one of the most vibrant teams or groups in St. Paul's. So always have your agenda clear and then have conviction about it. If you are committed about something, you are passionate about it, people will buy it. People will join your passion. In selling, we tell people that if you don't seem to love what you're selling, you don't seem to have bought it, nobody will buy it. Because people buy you before they buy from you. And how do they buy you? That is where we started from. Branding. The moment you've branded yourself well, people will headhunt you. I've always been headhunted, as I've already told you. People will headhunt you and give you tasks, give you roles to play. Now, people have to buy you, and then they buy from you. The moment people have bought you, anything you tell them, they will believe and they will be willing to commit to do. So, you must be seen to be committed enough. You have conviction about your own dream, about the vision, about the mission you want to achieve. And you should be able to work with a team. Always set up a team. The first thing you have to do is to ensure you have a good team. It's very essential. Very, very essential. Sometimes I understand when politicians are displaced from offices or different portfolios because of disloyalty. Because there is nothing much you can achieve with a team that is not united. In Chiromo, I had a very beautiful team. God blessed me with a team. More so in my second term, when we had finished with the people who were, when I had just become third year. I had Larry, I had Kennedy, I had another Steve Kabudhi, I had some other people like Lydia. Somebody is unmuted, please mute them. So with this team, we were able to plan well, we were able to do things, great things, and to date, if you hear something like Bible trivia, it started in Chiromo. It was the brainchild of Larry. We built it there. It was great. I still remember the event. We were discussing the Colossians. Please, the admin, you can mute that person. Yeah. A team. When this idea of what I was talking about, the demolition thing, came in, the first thing I did, I was not there. I had gone for a retreat. I took it easy. So when I came in, there was a meeting. I told people, well, we first start by building a team. And I asked some other people to volunteer so that we can work with them. And I grouped them in various teams: the media team, the technical team, the strategy team, the political team. There were various teams, but then I had a small team which was for strategy, and we delivered what we wanted to do. So always team. And if you remember team, remember that word chemistry that we discussed earlier. Build a team with chemistry. Build a team that work in a united manner. Build a team that works together like the Symphony Orchestra. Yes? Build a team with multiple talents. They complement each other. Like I was saying yesterday to a different group, if you're building a football team, you cannot have all number ones. You need number 9, you need number 11, you need number 10, you need number 5, you need number 3. All these are different skills and different talents. So you don't just build a team just because this person must be in this team. I like him. No. Check 3 things about him: chemistry, competence, and character. Yes? 3 things. In every person you bring into your team, is he competent enough? What is the character? And what is the chemistry? Those are 3 things you've got to always consider. Don't give people slots in your team to reward them for their loyalty or because they did you some favor. You will set up yourself to fail. And if you are part of a team, please ensure that you are a good team player. This T in the word team, this T, I consider it as trainable, teachable. Somebody who can be taught, somebody who is still willing to learn. If you're not willing to learn, you're probably not a good team member. Then you must be somebody who is available, who is mission oriented, and things like that. So being in a team is quite an important thing. Being an essential team player, choosing your teams well in terms of their character, competence, and the chemistry, and things like that. So those are some of the things that you want to check. You already have an agenda that you want to accomplish. You are committed to it and passionate. You can sell it to people, and now you form a team to move on. In fact, some of these people who will be in your team will even volunteer because they've bought into your agenda. They want to ensure that they help you accomplish that. Lastly, and not the least, is balancing act. Because I know we've run out of time, it's almost 10. How do you balance yourself between academics and leadership and everything else? To tell you just 2 brief examples, I was running a business in my hostel. I was a leader in almost 3 or 4 entities. I was studying physics, one of the hardest courses you will ever study, frankly speaking. One of my lecturers, Zaroslav Dmitry, a Russian, told me, this is the hardest course on earth. That is, he was teaching us something we didn't seem to be grasping. Why did you people choose physics? Physics is the hardest on earth. You see, I was doing all that, but I was balancing. I remember in second year, I wanted to specialize in applied electronics and microprocessor systems. So there are units I had to pass. Now, by default, as I told you, I wasn't really a good reader. So I would fail cuts, but I was sure to pass the main exams. So I had to pass, I think it was called mathematical physics and something else. I had seen the timetable. I used to check the timetable and read according to the timetable for exams. But this time round, the timetable changed. And what was supposed to be done like on a Thursday was brought on a Monday. And it disoriented me. I had to go and read. First of all got stressed up. I went, slept that evening, then showered, then woke up at around 10 and started reading up to around 3 a.m. Then started working in the hostels asking for revision papers, just that I may pass that paper. So, one thing that you will want to do is major on the major and not on the minor. I've learned that most people who become, for example, we used to have SONU. Right now you have something UNSA. Most people who become chairman for SONU or whatever, they don't end up graduating. Yeah, during our time there was Enemuel Michuki, Machuki. He didn't graduate. There was another guy who came after him, who came from my village. He hasn't graduated, and many others. They don't end up graduating because they fail in academics. I have a friend who, by the way, the person who was our chairman for ONUS didn't graduate and hasn't graduated. Why? Every morning he was going to main campus with papers, proposals, moving from office to office, DVC and F, DVC what, Dean of Students. He's looking for people to endorse his proposal, and there were always proposals to get money from the university and some other inconsequential things. He failed miserably in academics. He had to be discontinued. Now, there was another friend. This guy was one year ahead of me. So, the person who became his PA, yeah, self-appointed, David Warriero. David Warriero was in my year. He was always working with these guys, the one carrying bag, helping in hand tasks, yeah. He failed and had to repeat. So he finished a year later. Always major on the major. I remember we were told this when I was coming to the university. Major on the major and minor on the minor. Politics and all those other things are minor. Your major is academics. And it will always work well if you have discipline and you have timetable. There is what we call time scheduling in computing. People who are doing computer science know the round robin, time slice, and things like that. If you slot time, you write your own timetable. You say, this time I'm going to study this unit. This time I'm going to study this unit. This time I'll be in the field playing hockey or basketball. This time I'll be attending a student's activities in this. Please just adhere to it. Yeah, somebody has also unmuted again. Just adhere to time scheduling and follow that discipline we were talking about, doing what needs to be done, when it ought to be done, whether you feel like doing it or not. Otherwise, you're going to fail, and you do not want to fail. So, always major on the major, minor on the minor. Know what is minor and minor in it. Know what is major. You're in the university because of academics, and so that is priority number one. And leadership should help you be much better. And if you, as we had said, if you are competent in your academics, leadership is going to be much, much easier. Schedule your time well. Remember, leaders are busy people, always. So you are not given a responsibility because you are not busy. You are given because you are busy, and that's why you are effective and efficient. If you get somebody who is idle, they will always do a terrible job. You need busy people to do things right. So don't claim I'm too busy to do this, too busy to play this role well, too busy to be an effective leader. Leaders are busy. And Jeru will tell you, this Rotarian, I think he's a Rotaractor, will tell you that that is what we say in Rotary. Leaders are always busy. You will always get Rotarians are busy people. They are doing lots of things. I run 3 organizations and I still have a family. Yeah, recently, now that people are not going to school, my house becomes the school. The office, I mark, I get exams, I mark them and all those things, and I still do my business and everything else. So time scheduling is an important thing. Please just remember that. Otherwise, I want us to end there. It is exactly 11 as I had planned. So this is the time for comments and questions, and then after that, we will pick it again tomorrow, where we will be learning about 2 other things. Yeah, I think it was something to do with money management, and let me just go back and check. So, anybody with a question, comment? Yeah, we'll be learning problem solving and personal finance management. Yes.
I have a comment.
Yes, Paul.
Yes. I'm getting you. Speak.
This is Otieno Boniface.
Yes, Boniface.
Yeah, Chairman Nus, and I want to thank you first for your time, being able to take your time off your schedule and come to talk to us about issues about leadership. And I think there are some little things that I have come out with that I never thought mattered that much, had a lot of weight in how you carry out yourself. For example, Mambuna handshake, not trying to show off your strength when greeting someone.
Yeah.
That is one thing that never crossed my mind, and even walking posture and all those stuff. So I think one of the things I'm coming out more blessed than I was, and I think even leaving my schedule to attend it, I think I've as well gained. So I want to first thank you for your time, and I hope to learn more tomorrow. And I pray that you become blessed in all your endeavors, even as you continue to impact leadership issues on other people.
Thank you very much, Boniface. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Anyone else?
I wanted to ask a question. Do I have the forum?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, ask a question.
Hello?
Hello, I'm getting you. Ask. You're not able to hear me? Hello? Hello? Somebody has a radio or something behind which can be muted. He can mute. Somebody wanted to ask a question. Hello?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I'm called Jivan.
Yes, Jivan.
I'm so grateful to come on board. Matters leadership has been, it has been a thing for me. I wanted to actually know what's all about leadership, and I think I've gained a lot, and I'm looking forward for tomorrow's presentation as well. Hope I'll gain a lot at the end of all this.
Thank you, Jivan. Thank you. Tomorrow will be great. Yeah. Did somebody want to ask a question? I had somebody struggling to talk. Okay, are we fine? Lucy, is Lucy there?
Right here, Peter.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe if somebody has a question can ask. If no one has a question, you can lead us towards the
Okay.
close.
Okay, thank you so much. Peter. And I'm just going to call out on a few students
Yes.
to make a comment.
Thank you.
1 minute comment or 2 minutes, 1 minute actually, because we need to get some feedback. That has been awesome.
Yeah.
So much myself. I've just been like, wow, I wish all the students would have been able to join. And we look forward to you coming and impacting more students, not just the leaders, because what we are presenting is generally applicable to all people. Especially, I've loved that aspect of personal branding, because that is what most of the young people have challenges with. Even as you speak to them, you realize that is the main challenge. But before we get to that, I would like to pick on a few students to make a few comments. And I'm going to begin with somebody who has been there for some time. I'll call Elizabeth.